Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's September 15th, 2024, and behind me is a sight that many people have been waiting to see for a very long time. It's the 8330's inaugural run this Sunday. They ran yesterday with an entire train. It went well. We're here on Sunday to catch the same thing. It all started back in Willow at 8 a.m. this morning, so let's head down there. With the air still cool and quiet in the woods of Willow, the Florida Railroad Museum and its mix of volunteers and employees are starting their day. Even though the first train of the morning departs Parish at 11 a.m. sharp, there's lots to be done in preparation for this museum's weekend run. The star of the show this weekend would be the lead engine on this train, number 8330. As many of you know, this locomotive has quite the history over the past few decades, including a blown motor and now an almost complete rebuild in order for that to get to this state, fixed and cleaned up for revenue service on weekend and soon holiday runs. If you missed my video from May, it's been about 3 months since this engine has been operational and capable of running up and down the line. However, it's been restricted to weekday operations, with the museum's CF7 number 204 taking its workload along the recognizable 1835. On this day, the 1835 would be parked in one of the shop tracks that create Willow's yard here, which doubles as storage in the paint booth when needed. The 204 would be trailing behind the 8330 today, just in case anything were to happen to the leader and an extra engine were to be needed. For now, however, the 5-car passenger train would be coupled on and the 204 shut down as the 8330 is started up and begins idling. Today's crew would gather in the air-conditioned car number 250 for their morning meeting and job briefing of the day. I'd take the time to look around the train in the museum's sharp replica of the Seaboard's Willow Depot. Back in 1926, the McGowan Foshee Lumber Company out from Alabama built a logging mill and bought 54,000 acres of land around Willow for their lumber business, creating the town's first small railroad activity in the form of a narrow-gauge logging line that ran with 3 small steam locomotives up until the Great Depression. When that hit in the 1930s, lumber prices dropped and business was moved north into Tampa and its flourishing downtown by 1937. Obtaining the already 20-year-old narrow-gauge line in 1909, the Seaboard would rebuild the trackage here by 1946 all the way to the mainline connection in Durant, yet would end up abandoning the line 40 years later in 1986 under CSX. During the Seaboard days, a yard and depot was constructed here, and that's what this museum has recreated, with the yard tracks remaining and the main line being the track that our train is currently idling on. In about 15 minutes, the meeting wraps up and the crew gets to work. First point of business would be to fill up the fuel tank on the concession car, one that the onboard power and AC require diesel fuel to operate.
Trimming to conductor, you hear that we're going to probably top off the 250 diesel. I think we're going to go on the safe side and go ahead and do it. Copy. Positive on the pipe, negative on the cylinder. Understood.
So the 8330 is powered up by this morning's engineer, my close friend Dakota, and pulls the consist south 3 cars to what the museum folks call the speeder shed, where the fuel tank is located.
330, I am going to turn over, pulling up to diesel to Timothy. Copy that, Simon Control, turn to Timothy. Timothy, conductor in 8330, I'm in the position to call spy on conductor's permission. We're ready to take it south. 8330 copies. How many cars you need, Tryman? Looking at 3 here, 3. 8330 copies, conductor signal, and Trayman's request. 3 cars south, coming to you. Here we go.
For this move, the 8330 would stop right at Willow's yard limits, soon departing south to Parish on the main line, with a passenger train for the first time in over 5 years. I drive south a few yards, close to where the Florida Power and Light spur track breaks off the main, and into their Willow plant.
All crew proceeding south at time 8:39 to Parish. Here we go. Rolling. Rolling bomb 30.
10 minutes later, I'd be at the line's only grade crossing named Dickey Road, a very familiar name to many in the area. The shot here would be my favorite for its fairly good light and 8330's raised letter K5HA, something that makes this engine just that much more enjoyable. Since the potatoes are out of season now, I wouldn't have to worry about the flies here at Dickey, finally able to enjoy the peace and quiet of some Floridian wilderness before any development. The crew would kick it past Dickey, giving me about 2 minutes to set up at Parrish, where Dakota would slow the train down to a stop right at the platform in preparation to begin boarding in about 2 hours.
Trainman to 8330's position to call you to a stop at the platform. 8330 copy, Trainman in position to call my stop.
In the time being, I'd meet the crew at Parrish and explore the gift shop and ticket office. Lots of railroad memorabilia lined the walls of the passenger car turned store, with anything from old books to toy trains to museum merchandise of all kinds. Run by a handful of very nice folks, the store is a good stop before and after a train ride here, which you can book at this site or click the link in the description to their website. These people run off donations, so anything helps. Although the advertised event this weekend would be the Cowboy Show that happens in Willow, the fuss around the volunteers would certainly be the 8330's return, evident by some of the comments made about its inaugural weekend.
Yes, indeed. Well, with that said, I hope you are all very happy to see me and this engine again, because it's been a whole, 4 months? Done a few more mechanical things, and here it is, sitting in Parrish on a revenue train. No, it's not painted yet, but we intend on testing it some more throughout the event season, putting it under a load like the train we've got today, just to make sure that everything still runs satisfactorily and that it will be ready for service when we do decide to give it a new paint job, which has not been decided yet, so don't go too crazy on that. She runs really well. I took her down this morning. I'm very satisfied with her performance both yesterday and this morning on the deadhead when we brought it down. I'm pretty optimistic she'll be very good performing today as well. I'm sure most of you probably watched the video that Christian made about the inaugural run that we took this out on. He'll probably put a link to that somewhere in here. You can go take a look at that. But since then, like I said, we've done a few more things to it. Now she's on the main pulling a train. And I'm very satisfied with what she has been able to do so far. And some of our very new engineers get to have experience with it today as well. So that should be very fun.
Right. Hello and good morning. I'm one of the new engineers that Dakota has mentioned, and I had the pleasure of running this thing yesterday on a northbound deadhead, and I'll be running this thing again on the 11 o'clock pulling the head gang. And I say, this thing runs like a dream. It rides smooth, it has a great performance. Yeah, this thing is a lot of fun to operate. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to running it again.
Alright, I'm one of the car hosts here. I haven't been here long enough to actually see this thing operate before. All I've really known this engine as is the shop queen, slowly coming together over weeks and months and getting told, hey, it'll come out soon, come out soon. But finally, the days have come. It's on revenue trains, it's doing things, and it's great to see, and it has a great horn on it.
By 10:30, the train would be open for boarding and ready for departure in the next half hour. Since the crew was early into Parrish this day, they'd shut down the 8330 for the next hour or so, resulting in another cold startup in Parrish. When people ask why I like trains so much, here's a good reason. At 11 a.m. on the dot, the crew is ready to go and passengers all on board, seated comfortably now. The museum offers open-air gondola seating and air-conditioned seats with the concession car, where drinks and snacks of all kinds are offered, along with onboard entertainment. Overall, quite the operation with something for everyone.
Ticket offers to conductor.
Conductor.
You are free to take this train north to Willow.
Copy, thank you. Timothy to 8330. I am on the north end protecting your shove on conductor's permission. We got about 3 cars to the switch. Copy, 3 cars to the switch. Standing by for conductor. Conductor 8330. 30.
Trainman Kelly and her trainee Tim would be the eyes of the engineer this day as they begin to back up the line northbound to Willow.
8330 copies. Clear north to Willow. Here we go. Three cars to switch. 3. 3. Covering Paris switch. Clear track. Covering Paris switch. Clear track.
Now at Willow, the train would pass the old Seaboard whistle post sign that displays the crossing sequence that has stayed the same on the railroad for over a half century. And yes, those are cowboys on the train. With the show happening behind the depot in the grassy field next to the main line in Willow, I'd catch up with the crew as they'd spend about 25 minutes here at the station. Down the line near the show are the ACL signals from Lakeland, a relic that joins many others here in Willow, now unfortunately covered by the park trains. Let me know if any of y'all would want to see that stuff more up close, as there's lots to see and now some freedom on what I can do down here. It's good to know the right people. 25 minutes in Willow and the train is now ready to head back south to Parrish. I'd set up once again down the line between the museum's stack of ties and some very green shrubbery, all in all creating quite the classic Floridian railroad scene as 8330 leads its passengers down the old seaboard. Back at Dickey once again, I'd get a similar shot to this morning's, this time with a second horn, that's Dakota riding in the 204. My day would wrap up back in Parrish next to the Seaboard's 860-mile post sign, resulting in my favorite shot of the day. A huge thanks to all the great people who welcomed me this day. Y'all are doing some great stuff for the museum and railroading as a whole. I plan to be back soon to document the operations during the busy holiday season and the fantastic job that y'all do here. But until that time comes around, this is Christian from Multicolor Films, end of transmission.